What is good, Whisper Nation? Johnny Game Time Hicks here. It is the 4 o'clock hour Eastern time, Mountain Pacific time. If I could speak, we are going to be doing the live update with AAF with Stepmom Lauren. She just entered. We'll get her going here. What's up, Stepmom Lauren? How are you doing?
Hello, my dear. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. I hope you are doing wonderful.
I know. I don't need my sad face or angry devil face emoji because the Apollos won. So I'm happy.
They won pretty handedly.
Yes, well, it's the legend, so you know.
Yeah. Well,
there's that.
I wanted to say welcome in to Whisper Nation. We got a bunch of people jumping on as we speak. So I want to thank so much to our listeners. That is at Stepmom Lauren. You will we'll be posting this video on YouTube, and the link will be to your right. It'll say your screen name and all of that. So that way people can follow you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that.
Perfect.
I know you're already a part of Whisper Nation, so thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. You're like, why are we doing this with this girl again?
No, you're great. I love the fireplace in the background. That's
I know.
quite lovely.
Don't you like my Florida fireplace? It's wonderful.
Yeah. Hey, it's great. It's
fireside chat.
Hey, I love it. I love it. It's a little bit cloudy here in the AZ, so it goes well. I'm feeling really good right now.
You know, I feel you because it's been storming all day here in Florida also. So it's like, you know what? The fireplace and my Truman the Tiger for University of Missouri is right up there keeping watch.
Oh, there you go. Making sure
everything's copacetic at the Instagram Live.
All right. Are you ready to dive into week 7 of the AAF?
I was born ready, Johnny.
All right, let's do it. This past weekend was really exciting. The games were very, very entertaining. Other than the Apollo game, which let's jump into that one first because that was kind of like the so of the week game of the week, if I could speak. Yeah. What was interesting here, Lauren, is that in the beginning, 10 play drive, Apollo's got the ball first, march right down like it's like they're playing Pop Warner football.
Pretty much, yeah. And
score a touchdown, and you're just thinking, here we go again, right? This is going to be a terrible game. But it wasn't so fast, right? Mm-mm. We had them come right back down. We had them come right back down and score a touchdown. I'm thinking, all right, maybe we do have a game. Maybe we all underestimated. But then reality set in. Apollo's got the ball back again on offense, and the game was over.
Yeah, and that's what, so after our very shameful loss to the Hotshots last week,
Whoa,
where's my angry face? I'll grab it.
Hey, as you'll see, we're on a bit of a winning streak, okay?
Did we, get the blue shirt memo? I think we did.
I'm glad you saw my text there.
It's our ESPN. It's a whole network up in here we got going. I love it. But no,
what happened?
So after we lost to the Hotshots, that I'll just pretend never happened, we needed a get-right game again. And I always say we, because it's the Apollos, like I am one of them. But I am. Deep inside my spirit, I am. But we needed a get-right game, and there's no better team in this league besides the Legends to go up against. But just like you said, they did give the Apollos a run for their money. But the problem with that is Cynthia Freeland mentioned this during a halftime break of the next game, is that you have to have deep, explosive downfield plays that connect, because in this league, if you do not have that, you do not win. And, Cynthia Freeland is the analytics expert for the NFL Network. She laid out all these numbers and statistics, and Aaron Murray has 0. And you don't win games unless you have those downfield connections that create those explosive plays. They also can't do anything in the red zone. So, in fact, in the first quarter, neither quarterback threw an incomplete pass, which is pretty awesome, but you can't lose steam when you're going into the second half and everything just fell apart and the Apollo just ran away with it. So, but the Apollos were the first ever team in the AAF to clinch a playoff spot. So that was a nice little nugget.
Bravo.
Thank you.
I'll accept the award. Take the award.
I will. I'd like to thank the Academy. No.
Right.
But yeah. But so that was a nice little nugget to come out of the game. And honestly, the Legends do have potential. They do. It actually, when Sims came in the game, after Aaron Murray got hurt, Sims didn't look that bad. Because in the first couple weeks when he played, it was like, oh my God, please, somebody like trank me because I can't handle this anymore. But he actually did look pretty good. So they do have, like I said, they do have some potentials. But until they get that downfield threat, and I don't really think they have a receiver for the Legends, like a team like the Hotshots do, with Rashad Ross and, Dontez Ford. And when you don't have that, you don't win games in this league. So whatever. Right. Good for us. We won. So I'm happy.
There you go. I wanted to touch on, you mentioned Murray in this game. It kind of sucks for him because a couple of the passes that he made were simply on his wide receivers. I hate to say that, you're right. Because you hate to give, but really, like the second interception he had when they were on the 3-yard line, second half, I know the game is kind of over at that point, but I mean, that went right through the tight end's hands.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, threading the needle in the wrong way. I mean,
and exactly. Hit him in the bad place, right in the hands.
Right.
And then Aaron Murray, as a result, ended up throwing the pick on a few plays, or what was the next play that he threw the pick. So it's kind of a little bit unfortunate for him, but like you said, you got to have some wide receivers in this league. Yeah. And if you don't, then you're going to see the result is you're not going to get very good play out of your quarterback, whether or not you have Drew Brees back there or, Aaron Murray. So, exactly. All right. Anything else that you wanted to touch on this Apollos game?
I mean, not really. I mean, we could just simply go through like certain numbers, but the Apollos run defense continues to improve. That was really nice. They did work in Akeem Hunt into this game more so than they have in the past. And there's probably a reason. Hunt. I know, but there's probably a reason why they haven't used him very much. Bro, run north. You don't need to be running south. Dude, he got tackled behind the line of scrimmage by like 50 yards. What are you doing? No bueno. Then he went out, right after that play because they're like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
But Garrett Gilbert got back up to snuff. He had like an 86% pass completion rate. Charles Johnson still tacked on another 31 yards for his, total receiving yards in the AAF. They got back to form. So not only did they bounce back very well. But again, those numbers could be a little bit skewed simply because it was the Legends. We weren't playing a team like the Commanders or the Hotshots, things like that. So whatever, that was a get-right game, made them feel better. Because if we would have lost that game, Johnny, I would not have been an okay person. But we didn't.
I might have been having to run this game this week solo if that had happened.
I would be crying. Like, I would be wearing my motocross helmet, because my mascara would be like running down my face. I'd have bloodshot eyes. I'd be crying, hanging my head in shame, making memes of myself. It'd have been bad. But luckily that didn't happen.
Well, maybe next time. Maybe in the playoffs?
Oh, no. I can show up looking like a real scary clown if you really want me to, but I don't want to scare the Whisper Nation that much. You should see me in the mornings. It's not pretty.
All right, so we're going to jump in. Let's jump into the next game here. And I'm going to talk about we'll talk about the AZ Hotshots versus the San Diego Fleet. Both teams came into this week 3-3, and we immediately saw a. I'm trying to read through my notes here as I'm going. Sorry.
Yeah.
So here's what was interesting. You had Berkovici, who is the quarterback for the San Diego Fleet, who ironically went to Arizona State and was quarterback a few years ago. Yep. We all like him here in Arizona. He was just a tough nosed football player at the quarterback position. So the very first kind of score that was a big play was a blocked punt, and they returned it to the 4-yard line. The Fleet did, and then they end up scoring on the next few plays.
Which was pretty awesome because the Fleet were getting out to a pretty explosive start. And considering how good the Hotshots were, that was exciting. It was exciting to see. Hold on. I just saw Travis just goes, want to see Lauren cringe. Gilbert. Awful. I need to come up with a better name. Like, I can't. Garrett, Gilbert, I can't. Thanks, Travis.
You can just say he's the original G.
Yeah, the OG. Okay.
The OG, yeah.
Okay, I guess. I
no.
Well, Travis came up with GG, so OG is way better.
Yeah, we'll keep spitting out Whisper Nation and see what they think.
Yeah,
and what they
come to give me a good name.
So let me. What did you take out of this game? Because originally, when in the beginning of this game, I was really concerned for the AC Hotshots. But again, you saw some flash. Trevor Knight actually came in and scored the very first touchdown for the AZ hotshot.
Yeah.
And then they did this trick play of a pass to a pass, and it ended up working out.
Yeah.
So that you got to love what they're doing here. Yeah, it makes it exciting.
And that's one of the reasons why the Apollos were so exciting the first couple weeks, because using the trick plays, being creative. But what really this on paper, these teams kind of have similar strengths and weaknesses, right? They both of these teams have a three-headed monster running back. Granted, Arizona's is way better with, I think, is he number 4 leading rusher, Jarrell Presley? And then you have Tim Cook and Justin Stockton, and plus, and that's the number 1 rushing offense, by the way, like total rushing offense. And not to mention, Wolford is the number 2 wide receiver. Yeah, okay. Too many Wolfords, Johns, Joshes, Rosses.
Yeah.
Can't get it over. Yeah. Behind, of course, Garrett Gilberto. Number 2 behind him, might I add. So you have that. Then you have these really creative, clever plays, sprinkling in Trevor Knight. I mean, it wasn't even like a wildcat, if you could really call it that. It was just kind of these random, like, oh my gosh, no, what do we do against Trevor Knight? I don't even know. So what was we going to do to combat that? But for me, the biggest thing was, if the Fleet didn't have some key injuries, I think this game would have been a lot closer than I think it turned out to be. And you can definitely tell they missed their downfield threat, because I mentioned that a lot, how important that is. But their downfield threat, Dantes Ford, who came up real big in the game Fleet versus the Commanders. He was the one that helped set up the big overtime field goal, or not overtime, but a field goal to win, walk off. Oh, it was crazy. But he actually hurt both of his ankles, and he had a walking boot on one foot. And then Jaquan Gardner, who is by far their best running back. Sorry, I have a hair stuck to my eyelash. Can't handle it.
Right.
Like seeing you through a split lens. I know. I know. It's like flapping against my eyelashes. Anyway, so he's honestly their best and my favorite running back on that team. He's so tough and sturdy and just scrappy. But then he got injured, and then their run game ended up severely lacking. And they ended up just kind of falling apart because of those key injuries, which stank. But then on the other side of the ball, you know what? The Hotshots had a key injury. Rashad Ross went down, like we were talking about last week. The man's made a heel. And the Arizona Hotshots, it didn't matter to them that Ross went down. They still managed to figure out a way to pull out a win without key losses, and that really speaks to the Hotshots and how good they are and well-rounded on either side of the ball when you're talking about their defense, rushing, wide receivers. So I don't know. Maybe the Fleet never had a chance to start with. I don't know, but it was pretty close coming into it on paper, and it was a fun game to watch, though.
It was definitely fun. You had Wolford. His first touchdown throw was a beauty.
Yeah.
I don't know, it was across his body, which you never want to see as a fan. You're like, no, don't throw that. But he threw it, and he threw it at right. Only his wide receiver could catch it. Beautiful touchdown pass. And then you had him put it away on a funny play. He put the game away. It was a rush up the middle, a kind of a scramble rush.
Yeah.
And he almost was about to go down.
I know.
And then like he faked it, and then he just kept going. Yeah. And then you just skirted past everyone and ended up sealing the game away. But it was really, really, really fun to watch. Wolford, continues to be a really good driving force for this AZ hotshot. It seems like they'll go as far as he kind of can take them, and hopefully Rashad Ross gets back, because I don't know if he can do a full game against the Commanders or against some of these other teams, Apollos, that are equally as talented. I don't think that they could get past a team like that if they don't have Ross.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think that they can still compete, but I think it was smart that they didn't play him the whole game, because he got beat up last week against the Apollos, and just give the man a break. Like I said, he doesn't need to be in everything. If he's injured, you guys have the game away. And again, with the Stallions, and I've said this before, they're not their record. It stinks to watch them. Yeah. And they almost came back, right? They almost came back at the end of the game, and then there was that just late interception from Woodrum. Again, it's like, oh my God, was it Woodrum? I can't remember who it is now. What game are we talking about? I'm lost. Whatever. Yeah. It's 7 o'clock here. It's late.
Right.
But no,
well, Travis just said that we should do shots every time we talk about the hot shots.
Oh.
I think that's pretty a valid point there.
Yeah, like a fireball?
Yeah. Well, that they play the shots song every time we play at home.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love
it's
that.
pretty good.
Yeah, it just stinks to see the Stallions come back and make such a valiant effort. But to lose in the last minutes. It's like, oh, man.
It was fun. I mean, it was good for me, but rough for them.
I'm sure. See, and I feel that because as an Apollos fan, I'm like, I don't really care if I kick the Legends patooties. I'm like, feel bad for you, though. Sorry, but not really. Sorry, not sorry.
All right, we're going to jump into the Memphis Express against the Birmingham Iron game.
You mean the Johnny Manziel game?
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, you know me, we talked about it on the last show. I was super jacked about the Johnny Manziel playing. He had an okay game. He only ended up with 5 attempts. He was 3 for 5. It was an okay game. He had 2 rushes for 20 yards. They kind of used him more as like a change of pace, kind of like get everyone. I mean, when he came in, everyone was cheering. Yeah. Rightfully so. Everyone wants to see Johnny Manziel. Right. But I mean, I got to give it to Silvers, man. Silvers had, I don't know whether it was the threat of Johnny Manziel coming in. I don't know if the coaching staff said, hey, if you don't end up playing well, we're going to bench you for Johnny Manziel. He came out 24 for 35, 266 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And, I mean, he was throwing dimes all over the field.
0 interceptions.
Huge.
And so I mentioned this in my article. It was like this magical Manziel effect. So all Manziel had to do was just show up. That's all he really had to do because everyone played better. And by everyone, I mean the Birmingham Iron played better. The Memphis Express played better. The defenses on both teams played better. The quarterbacks played better. Who is this new Luis Perez? And what have you done with the old one? Really? He was a completely different person. And by the way, Marvin Lewis needs to figure out how the heck to pronounce his name. Is it Lewis? Or is it Luis? Because he was confusing me. But maybe this is the new version of Luis Perez. It's Luis Perez.
Maybe he wanted to get his name right. Maybe it's like, you guys need to get my name right, and I'll actually start playing.
Exactly, but he did so well. So let me see if I can get his numbers. He was 16 for 37, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That is pretty awesome for him alone. Right. Let alone in this league. It's pretty great, too. And then the defenses on both sides stepped up, and there was an energy to that stadium that was electrifying, even though like the stands weren't, crowded, it wasn't kind of like the Commanders game, but it was still just having Johnny Manziel around was crazy. And another note about Silvers, how great he played. He also had to deal with the crowd booing him if he made one incomplete pass because everyone wanted to see Johnny Manziel, but it was not Manziel that led them to tie the game and go into overtime. It was not Manziel who manufactured that scoring touchdown to win the game for the Express. No, but it was obviously Manziel just by being there. Like, this is what Memphis has needed to get that spark going for them is just someone like Johnny Manziel. Who knew? Johnny Manziel.
Right. Oh, and I thought what was funny was, I don't know if you saw it afterwards. I don't know if he was trying to take a sting at the Cleveland Browns because he was like, this is the best quarterbacks group I've ever played with. Like,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he came in. He's like, this is the best quarterbacking group I've ever been a part of. They're like, bro, you played for the Cleveland Browns, and you were the guy. Like, so you're just, in other words,
you're
saying like
yourself there, dude. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was cool to see though because there were a lot of halftime interviews that they had done, and he sounds more mature. He looks more mature. He's really taking ownership of a lot of his mistakes. So it was really really cool to see him. I mean, and like you said, he was kind of mediocre. I mean, he looked really nervous. He scrambled around a lot. He did have some explosive passes. Not all of them were completions, but you can just tell he still has the talent. He still has the arm. But, I mean, there is something so special about fans who love their team or love a player because everybody, like I said, stepped up their game on both sides of the ball just because of Manziel and what he did to electrify that entire place. That was what was really cool to watch. And the one person that I think got the biggest boost out of it was Silvers, like you mentioned, because he's like, you're not coming in here and taking my job. Watch this. I love that. Love the AAF for that.
BWS 1480 said veteran presence for Johnny Manziel.
Absolutely.
That could be it. That could definitely be it.
He's exactly right.
You just felt the energy really
even
on that
watching
team.
it. Could you imagine being there?
It was a lot of fun. I wanted to say welcome to Reese Horn. This guy, I don't know if he knew Jordy Nelson was retiring today and was like, I need to do a throwback game to him. He had 7 catches for 113 yards and a touchdown.
Yep.
He was like unstoppable.
And he was Silver's favorite target. favorite target, and he's reliable. Awesome.
Yep. So definitely like to see that. And this was the very first overtime win, and it was a comeback win by the Memphis Express.
Which made it so much better.
Yeah, and honestly, it's hard to gauge between this and the next game we're going to talk about on what was actually the better game of the weekend. Right. But this was definitely up there. This was an exciting game throughout the entire game. And it's going to be fun moving forward and seeing exactly how they continue to do this quarterback change or change of pace with Johnny Manziel and Silver. I kind of hope for Silver's sake that if he kind of struggles a little bit, that fans don't overdo it with the Johnny Manziel thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of Johnny Manziel, and I love watching him play. He's very entertaining. But at the same time, it's like, after seeing what Silver can do, it's like you've got to give him a fair chance. And if you pull him too soon because you're not giving him that full leash, it'll be sad for him to see, where he goes.
I think Mike Singletary is well-rounded and level-headed enough to not fall for the whole, I have to play Johnny Manziel simply because he's on the team. And honestly, in my opinion, I think the only reason why Johnny Manziel saw as many snaps as he did was simply that, to get snaps and get a little bit, get back in the game, get a feel for it again, get those jitters out. And maybe they'll work it like the Hotshots did with Trevor Knight and Wolford. You never know. That could totally happen.
That would be really, really entertaining if they can continue to pull that off. I do want to mention, because we got to keep the streak alive, just like he kept the streak alive. Trent Richardson got in the end zone again. Lauren, This is his 11th touchdown on the season, 10th rushing touchdown. It was funny because one of the commentators, he was like, this is kind of unfair. You give him the ball at the 3-yard line, it's automatically
totally
touchdown.
It's totally unfair.
Where is this?
But here's actually, now that you speak to that, one thing I did have in my notes as well is I mentioned this last week about Memphis defense. They did hold Birmingham Iron to only 83 rushing yards with a guy like Trent Richardson on the team. So big kudos for Memphis's defense. That really spoke to me as well. But another thing was that the Manziel effect, but they did it last week, but I don't know. But it was great. It was a really fun game to watch. And I do hope, but I do agree with you. I like Silvers. So we'll see where this goes. All
right, so we have one more game. I'm sorry, I keep turning around. I'm looking at my notes as we're talking.
Mine are right here, so I'm constantly looking down like this, oh hey, don't mind me. What's going on, guys?
Right. All right, so we have one last game to talk about here, and that's the Salt Lake Stallions at the San Antonio Commanders. This game. All right, first off,
I gotta wet the whistle for this one. Hoy.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. A little water break.
I'm ready. Go.
All right, I got to give it up to the fans on this one. The Commanders showed up and showed out. Their fans were amazing. Best attendance. And they were loud. They were loud. Listening to this game, you could tell that there were a ton of fans, and they were supporting their team.
Yep. And this was so cool. So, like you said, they were so loud that on the Jumbotron, they had to put quiet offense at work. So then this small little section of people, what they did is they turned on the flashlights for their phone and held them up. Well, that spread throughout the entire stadium. So everyone in the stadium had their phones up like they were at a rock concert with their flashlights on. Right. And even the announcers were like, is this a thing? I've never seen this before. They're like, I don't know. It just started. I've never seen it before. It was hilarious. Then they did the wave. And Steve Mariucci, who's one of my favorite people on the NFL Network, by far, besides you, Adam Rank, love you. He was the color commentator. And he was just like, this is the greatest crowd I've ever been around. This is amazing. I love this so much. It was electrifying. It was crazy. 30,345 people. Now, they had been away for 4 weeks in a row, so they were ready for their team to come home, which was so cool. But the previous 2 home games that they've had, they've almost reached 30,000. They have 29 something consistently. So, that just goes to show you how much San Antonio loves their team and loves football. And that is so exciting to see.
And they're loyal. They're loyal. We talked about the Spurs. We talked about the Spurs and how loyal they are with the Spurs. So it's only rightfully so that they would be super committed to this team. And it's great. It's great environment made for a very exciting game. Like I just mentioned just a second ago, and how it's a toss-up between this being the most exciting game and then the Memphis Express being the other exciting game of the week. So what was your biggest takeaways from this game?
Oh, you know what? I just realized I was saying the other team before when I said the Stallions come back. Did we already cover that? And I just totally messed that up before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, whatever. Sorry, guys. My bad. Looking at
No. Sorry. Salt Lake Stallions against the Commanders. You're right.
Yeah, no, you're good. I just mentioned before about watching the Stallions, and then I got the team wrong. So that was my bad, y'all. Call me out, make fun of me. I'll be like, my bad. I'm bad. So what was really okay? So the Stallions, I've said this before, how much I love their defense. This was a game of defense because this game was tied mostly 9-9. Almost the majority of the game, right?
And a lot of missed field goals.
Yeah, really. Yeah. So the Stallions have the number one run defense. They also have the number one sack leader, Carter Schultz. They have one of the best red zone defenses, and they also have Nick Truesdale, who is near perfect on the season, and he's a target hog, but he is also consistent in catching the ball. So they're coming into this game pretty stacked. However, they have to go up against the Commanders, and I have some notes here. Let me refer to these so I make sure I hit them all. All right. So the Commanders have Logan Woodside, who leads the AAF in pass completions. They have Mikhail McKay, who is by far one of the best downfield threats. He's nearly impossible to defend. Their scoring percentage on drives is 36.9%, second only to the Apollos at 47. Just saying. Their defense has the most total sacks. So Carter Schultz leads in sacks, but their defense has the most total sacks. And they have the leading interceptor of the AAF, if you will. So Devontae Bosby leads the AAF in interceptions. That is so hard to go against. It is so impossibly hard to go against. And plus, not only all of those football things, but then the Stallions have to go to San Antonio with that crowd. That by itself, in my opinion, is probably a backbreaker. That's got to be so hard because you're going away trying to play against these defensive crazy people in this loud environment. I mean, I have no idea how they even managed to keep it at 9-9 and it wasn't a runaway, but it was just, wow, crazy.
Right.
I know.
It ended up
thinking about it.
It ended up coming down into interceptor sounded like a Dodge vehicle. Big Travi with the
that sounds
comment
like a
there.
Good one.
Yeah.
The Interceptor. I think I'll call that my four-wheeler. Her name is Mama Quad now. Maybe I'll change it to Interceptor. That sounds good.
I like that one. Go ahead.
And because of the defense, this game really did boil down to just a few mistakes by the Stallions, and it stinks. So they got a roughing the kicker on. So the Commanders were about to kick a field goal. They got a roughing the kicker, which then gave the Commanders another set of downs, which I don't think they scored a touchdown on that. They ended up kicking a field goal anyway, I believe. But then that late interception for the 2-point conversion, so they actually came back to tie the game, and almost tie the game.
They almost,
almost tied the game. Woodrum throws an interception on the 2-point conversion, picked off, run all the way the other direction for 2 points, which gave the Commanders an extra 4 points. And that was that momentum was just shot after that.
Yeah, so. they just sat on the ball after that and essentially ran out the clock.
Yeah,
that was a great play, and even the play to set up what could be the chance to tie up the game was a beautifully drawn play. Very, very nice pass. And when you're looking at these games, all right. What do you think is? Do you think there are a lot of guys on here that have the ability to make it on rosters for next season? And because as we're winding down in the regular season, it's going to start being the playoffs, right? And these are where guys are really going to start. OTAs and all that for the NFL are going to start, and so they're going to possibly be looking at these guys. Now, how concerned are you that the turnover is going to be somewhat significant for some of these big name stars? I mean, we just listed off a handful of each wide receivers that are doing work in the AAF. There are a lot of wide receiver needy teams, especially with teams carrying 4, 5, 6 wide receivers. that is a concern that I have with the AAF is just for the fans, right? Like you and I, we love football. We'll watch football, call it whatever you want to, arena, AAF, NFL. We love it all. But the average fan, that's why NCAA has a really hard time in there with basketball, right? Because they have a lot of these one and dones, and it's just hard to emotionally connect. That's why we like a lot of these. That's why we're emotionally connected to Trent Richardson. We know his backstory. Yeah. We love to see him, go through
Trent
the hard
Richardson's
times.
going to go back to the NFL. Like there's no way he's not going to.
With that touchdown,
I'm not a G-Rit. I'm not a head coach, so I don't know. But yeah, and that sucks. As an Apollo fan, with Garrett Gilbert, oh my gosh, he's probably.
That's
I know.
I'm pretty sure he's going to be
Charles
swooped
Johnson,
up.
even Jalen Marshall, Garrett Gilbert. This could be a completely different team next year. I have no idea. So, am I concerned with that turnover? Yeah, for the big top teams, yeah. But then again, isn't that why we wanted them to be in the AAF, is to get into the NFL? So I'll be cheering for them anyway. It is bittersweet, but then again, you can unless he signs with the Rams, then I'm not rooting for Garrett Gilbert if he signs with the Rams again. Just as long as we're clear on that point.
I think it'll be okay. I think the Rams just signed another backup. Yeah, popping Bortles. So I think it'll be okay.
Last name, great. Whatever. Yeah. So there will be turnover. Honestly, I'm from Missouri, and the model for Missouri is show me. Everything is a show me state. So until I actually see what the numbers will look like in the turnover, I really don't know how to speak to it yet. Will there be some? Yes. I don't think it's going to be like a mass exodus, out of the AAF. But we'll see. And I'm excited for that opportunity for them to get back to the NFL because that's the whole point. Mm-hmm. But I'll cry.
Okay, so we're going to do I'm going to pull this up really quick. I want to do a rundown of this next week's games, and I want you to do a quick who you got in these games, okay? So first game, we have the your Orlando Apollos against Memphis Express that we just talked about. Okay, so Apollos. San Diego Fleet versus the Salt Lake Stallions.
Stallions.
All right.
They got to win. They got to win sometime.
Here, one last thing on here's what I want to say about Stallions. It's seeming like through this far in the season, it seems like they play to their talent. I mean, we see this through all sports.
That's a good point.
It's like when they play a bad team, they play bad. Because that was what happened with this past game. Is like they were hanging tough with them. Like they were with the Commanders.
They do it every game. Every game.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting on there.
I think this might be that week where they break it. I really hope so. Yeah. But this is a Fleet Stallions revenge game. I'm excited to see this. We'll see if this boils down to those last few seconds again, like it did before. So, knowing the Stallions are probably will. Hopefully they come out with a win.
Yep, exactly. All right, we have the Atlanta Legends against Birmingham Iron.
Whoever plays Atlanta is going to win, so Birmingham.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Sorry, Legends.
Right, and then my Arizona Hotshots at the San Antonio Commanders. I will be watching this game for sure. Dialing in on the Twitter.
I'm pulling my hair
You're going Commanders, aren't you? You're going to go Commanders on me, aren't you?
I'm going to go Hotshots. I'm going Hotshots. I know. I love the Commanders so much, but I think the Hotshots can pull out a win. But it's going to be such a good game. That is going to be my sit down, no one talk to me, I'm eating popcorn game because that is going to be so much fun. But Wolford has John Ross, really? That's the NFL one. Rashad Ross.
I think even the commentators were like, whatever. John Ross, always saying John Ross. Rashad Ross. I know.
It's so confusing. But I hope he's healthy and back to form because against the Commanders' defense, Wolford's got to be so careful with his interceptions, against Bosby. His offensive line has to be 100% ready to go and ready to defend because they lead in sacks. They have the leading guy. 4 interceptions, the interceptor. Maybe that'll be my fantasy football.
I like that.
This year is the interceptor.
Ooh,
I think I like that too.
Good.
So they're going to have to work it out for them, but it is going to be a good game. So we'll see if it's going to be a high-scoring game or if the defense is going to be able to keep them low. But either way, it's going to be fun. I'm really excited to see how this pans out, especially this late in the season when everyone has got that chemistry working and they've been with each other now for 7 weeks minimum playing these games. So that's going to be fascinating. I cannot wait to watch that game.
I know it's going to be, and the Hotshots are going to need to win this game. They're sitting right now at 4-3. In order to make that final playoff push, they got to win this game. So,
and I think that's what's going to make it so explosive.
Yep. All right, Whisper Nation, that does it for today's show. That was the Week 7 recap of the AAF with @Stepmom Lauren. You can catch her across all platforms @Stepmom Lauren. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and now YouTube.
And now
Way
YouTube.
To go. Way to go.
Oh, like and subscribe because I have like 0 subscribers right now because I just made this yesterday. So when I look at it, I feel depressed about my life.
Hey, I'll jump on right after this and I'll go follow.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as well, I'm @JohnHicks33 on Twitter. You can catch us @TF Whispers on Instagram. You're already here. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. We come out with awesome content across all platforms, and we get very lucky this year in that we get Stepmom Lauren with us, writing some articles, making some videos, and she's got her website as well. So head on over there once it's almost done, right?
And we're getting there. We have a little bit of a thing that has happened this week that may change things for the stepmomlauren.com thing.
Oh, okay.
I can't divulge anymore.
Hey, all right. Well, you gotta tell me offline, I guess.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay, sounds good. All right, Whisper Nation. I want to know what you think. Who do you got going on this weekend? Who do you like? What team are you liking going into the playoffs? Are you on Stepmom Lauren's side with the Apollos? Are you on my side with the Hot Shots? Or you like the Commanders, the Fleet? Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. We'll have to get that ready for next show.
I know, we do. Can Fireball sponsor us? That would be awesome.
Ooh, let's
#sponsor.
That would be amazing. Yeah, Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let me just go tweet them right now. By the way.
All right, until next time, thank you so much for joining us. That's @Stepmom Lauren. I'm Johnny Game Time Hicks, and we're out. Peace.
Bye.